Okay, I am here with Justin Mersh of 𝗏𝗏 Consulting. We are about to have a conversation because both of us have the exact same experience where we blew out our personal credit trying to build our businesses. And then we found out about business credit. You now know about it. I know about it. You are helping others. And we're going to have a real conversation about the difference between personal credit and business funds.
Noel. Yeah, she can fix that. If you gotta get it done, all you need to do it better. Well, she can fix that. Yeah, she can fix that. Investment to get back, trying to get a big stack. She can fix that. Let's fix that.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Justin Mersh. I'm the president of 𝗏𝗏 Consulting. We help people build out their business credit so that they can get the funding that they need to support their business. And much like you were talking about, Noel, I know your story is very much the same as mine. And I think maybe back then, that's just kind of the way you did things, right? It wasn't widely known, right? If you're going to launch a business back in the day, you were going to put it all on the line. You're going to take your loans, you're going to max out your credit cards, you're going to ask your family and friends for money. You're going to just totally put it all on the line. And if it works out, great, right? And if it doesn't, then not so good, right? I didn't have any idea about the power of business credit. I mean, it wasn't even on my radar. I worked for a software company. I was an executive salesperson. I took out a massive personal loan, and that's how I funded my first business. There was no separation at all from my personal situation and my business situation. And now I understand that the primary reason, well, there's really a lot of good reasons why business credit is really important. But one of the primary reasons is that as business owners, we need to separate our personal from our business. And that's the whole point of an LLC, right? We create these LLCs as their own entities, and then we put everything on our personal, which makes zero sense at all.
Right. So that's a great point. So let's kind of get into that because like I said, we have so much in common where we did blow out our own personal credit. And so, like I said, I think we had the similar situation where we wanted to be entrepreneurs. We had no idea that we could build business credit. And then we found this opportunity almost later in life, later in our business life. So let's kind of talk about the old way, what people used to do and talk about what's the new opportunities are.
Right. So the first thing I kind of want to talk about is that personal credit was never designed to support a 6-figure, 7-figure business. It just wasn't. Your limits on your personal side of credit, if you have really good credit, might be quite high. I mean, I have high limits. I have, $20, $30, $50, $60,000 limits. But on the business side of things, it can be 10 times that or 100 times that. Having a credit card on the business side that has a $100,000 limit or no limit is very, very common, right? Yeah. No limit. Right. Imagine if you're a business owner and you're making widgets as an example, and you've got all this inventory and all these raw materials and all this labor, and you've got to wait 60 days to get paid. And then after that 60 days, your receivables aren't paying, right? Yeah. So what are you going to do in the meantime? That's where business credit comes into play. Back in the day, there really wasn't a whole lot of options, or maybe it was there, but it was so cryptic, nobody knew about it. Right. By the way, it still is cryptic.
It is.
It's still very cryptic.
Yes, it really is. Like I paid even to learn about business credit that it even existed. I had to pay $1,000.
Right. Well, not only that, on the personal side of things, people are always trying to get our business. It's all over the place, right? But on the business side of things, outside of your major financial institutions, there's not a whole lot of information about it. And I'll give you an example. When I first started business, I needed a paper folder, right? I needed something that would shoot up, print out, fold it up, because thousands and thousands and thousands of things were going on every single month, right? So you need a paper folder. So I called up this company. I don't remember what the company was. Now, mind you, I already had business credit, or so I thought, right? I had business credit cards at that time. And the company had, and this was actually kind of embarrassing because it was one of my employees that actually arranged the deal. They said, do you want to pay for this cash? I think it was just under $10,000. Or do you want to do same as cash and we'll just pay it out? Because you have to have a service agreement anyways. Right. That's a no-brainer. If it's same as cash, I'm not going to give you all the cash up front, right? So sure, let's pay it out with a service agreement. They denied me. They said, I'm sorry, you don't have the business credit in order for us to do that. Not only did they deny me, but they wouldn't even write up the service agreement if I paid cash for the machine.
Wow.
I was like, wait a minute. I've got amazing personal credit. I've got business credit cards. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is the business credit cards that I had weren't reporting to the business credit bureaus. So there was no sign that anything was ever happening. And this is what we find on the business side all the time. It's a vast majority of creditors are not going to report to the business bureaus, right? Yeah. You have to get that stuff set up with DUNS, and you have to know what reports where, and you've got to apply for the right things. Yep. And if you're a brand new business, you're not going to get that American Express no limit.
Right.
Because a lot of people think they can just, if there's all kinds of myths. They think they have poor credit, they can't build business credit. And that is false. That is the furthest thing from the truth. You can build out your business credit in your EIN only without running your personal credit. If you do it properly, you'll still get high limit revolving cards. You still have some of the same opportunities. You can even, with your Toro program, Noelle, a lot of your people talk to me about that. Okay. You can build out your business credit and put your cars in your business credit only. Right. But your personal. Right. I have a story to talk about with that. Did you? Okay.
I know we're going to get to that because that is important. I want people to know that's such a powerful thing that I'm wanting to educate and tell the world, like all of these aspiring entrepreneurs. And I think one of the things I had mentioned to you before we started is I said, I wish I would have known about this even before I transitioned to entrepreneur. I was saying, we have the same story. I was in corporate America, and I literally have my students now that will be building their business credit while they are still working. So then when they transition out of working, they're already set up. And that is incredible to me. And I am so proud of that I've been able to teach people. So tell us more about that and how that works.
So smart. I mean, so smart. I worked for a software company. I was an executive salesperson. I flew all over the country, which travel was fun, but only for a moment, right? It's fun until you don't see your family most of the time. After, I had kind of ran that through and I realized that I was never going to be able to do the things that I wanted to do. I needed to do my own thing. I started my personal credit company. And I had a full year that I was testing the market. I was doing pro bono work for lenders, seeing how it's going to work and how I can, best serve my community. I had that year to build out business credit, but I knew nothing about it. It wasn't even on my radar.
Yeah, so mine either.
Yeah. And when you tell me your students are doing this, and I know they are because they talk to me about it, you're teaching them well, they're preparing for their launch of their business. You can create your LLC. You can take that year to build out business credit, save your money before you make the full jump. It's amazing. It is. Now, some of the mistakes that I do see, and I know you teach this also, a lot of times people are getting denied for business credit and they think it's for reasons that it's not. Now, to separate personal from business, personal is highly regulated, right? They have to give you a reason for denial. If somebody checks your personal credit, it actually is an inquiry. It may decrease your scores a little bit. They have to announce themselves. The credit scores work differently on the personal credit side of things. Now let's flip over to the business side of things. It's completely different. Yeah. I can pull anybody's business I want to. There is no law against that. Inquiries don't matter. You can run your credit 1,000 times in a month.
Good to know. Now that one I didn't even know. Okay.
Yeah. Inquiries do not matter. It doesn't, anybody can pull it. It's not regulated. It's a different thing. It's meant for businesses.
It is a different beast.
Right. And you can have your $50,000 credit card, your $100,000 credit card, and other things and have them all maxed out. And guess what? You can still have a near perfect business credit score because all they care about is if you pay your bills on time.
That's right.
So the massive difference is that personal is designed to support your personal situation. It's not designed to run a big business. So the business side of things says, yes, spend your money, max out your credit cards. As long as you pay on time, good.
No, great point. I absolutely love that. And so let's talk about too, how some people are taking these side hustles and turning them into real business so that they can get real business funds. So like the people that are doing Turo or Airbnb or some of the things that they just do on the side and really transforming their whole business situation by making it a real business. Talk about that for a sec.
No, and that's an amazing thing. So the Turo situation, which again, I learned a lot from you, Noelle, didn't even know about it until, I started watching you, and then some of your students would come to me, especially on the business credit side of things. They're like, I want to start, I want to, buy some vehicles and start this. But first, let me start with kind of a story of how this lack of knowledge about business credit infiltrates even really successful business people. Okay. So I recently took on a business credit client who has a rental, a brick and mortar rental. They have 80 different vehicles. They arrange special financing with dealerships and whatnot, not on their business credit, just kind of on the side. And each of them had multiple cars on their credit profile, one which got wrecked and wasn't paid, so it ended up charging off. So we've got successful business owners that have been in business for a really long time, have huge cash flow, and are not utilizing their business credit at all.
Wow.
So there's a couple of problems with that, right? The first problem is that they're not separating their personal from business. Can you imagine if somebody gets in a wreck in that car
Right.
and they do serious damage to somebody else and it's on your personal credit?
Right. Oh my gosh.
They can come after all of your assets, right?
Yeah.
But what's really amazing about Turo is that I have people that are coming to me before they even start their business, and they understand the value of business credit, and they say, okay, we need to get to the place where I can get vehicles just in my EIN only. There's lots of ways to get that done as far as the business credit is concerned.
Yeah.
Some of the pitfalls that I see people kind of fall into when it comes to business credit is that, and they're real simple. They think that they're being denied for a variety of reasons, but the reality is that they're being denied for maybe something really simple. Maybe they've created their LLC with an address and they're using a different address when they're applying for these vehicles, for these high limit credit cards, for, maybe that's the problem. So a lot of times there's problems with the foundation, right? Sometimes we have to dissect the LLC and make sure that they're completely fundable. So one of the biggest issues that we find in the business world, as opposed to the personal side, and there's some problems on the personal side too, but in the business world, the biggest issue is fraud. It's a huge problem. Another big issue, there are a ton of LLCs that are created and very few ever see any revenue.
That's true.
And then of the ones that see revenue, many of them go upside down. So business creditors are stuck in this kind of silo of looking for any reason to decline you, right? It can be that you're using your personal cell phone instead of spending the money on an 800 number. It can be that, again, that you're using your home address instead of spending money on having a virtual address, which they are everywhere, by the way, right? So there's lots of different kind of fundability aspects that we need to go through and dissect and make sure everything is set up correctly so that you can get fundable, or so that you can get funded.
I love that. And this is such a great point. Like I said, I think so many people, even that educated, been to school, have businesses, really don't know the power of business credit. And so you said another point that I really want you to touch on is how much more funds you can get with a business setting up the business credit properly versus trying to rely on your personal credit. Talk about that for a second.
Right. So, you and I know the answer. The truth, how much funding is endless amounts of funding, right? If you have top-notch credit, personal credit, and top-notch business credit, the sky's the limit, right? You're going to get funded. Sky's the limit. You can literally get credit that have zero limits on them, or zero limits.
No limits. I have 2-3 credit cards in my business name that have no limit whatsoever. I've charged hundreds of thousands of dollars on those credit cards at a time.
And they like you for that.
Yes,
thank you. You can go buy a few. Go buy a
Lamborghini or whatever
on your business credit. So the funding is dramatically different. Okay, so where, as an example, you might get a $10,000 credit card on the personal side of things, and you might think that's a good limit, right? And that might be a good limit. You might get up to 30,000. That's getting pretty high up there. But on the business side of things, if you build out your business credit properly, getting 10 times that is nothing. Right? Is nothing at all. Even just getting high limit store cards, they're probably going to start you out at $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000. Remember, business side of things, they're looking to support a business. They understand that concept. On the personal side of things, a bank may wonder why you need a $50,000 limit. I like $50,000 limit credit cards though. It's so different. And that was like the big mind-blowing thing to me, that when I started using my personal credit cards in my business, I was running ads with them. And so I'm like, you got to run ads. People told me, get on Facebook. They got these great ads. And I'm putting my credit card in there and I'm thinking, yes. And then 2 months later, they're shutting my limits down. They're putting the limit to what the balance is. And then my credit score is going all the way down. And I'm like, whoa, what happened? I was even making the payments, but it's like in the so
personal
annoying.
Credit, they get it's annoying. It's hard. It's like they almost are afraid of you using those credit cards to those limits. And in the business world, they're like, go for it. As long as you're making your payments, they are encouraging you to grow your business. And they understand you need to advertise.
No, you're absolutely right about that. And it's gotten better, Noelle. They don't do some of those scandalous things they used to do. I don't remember if you remember universal default, but if you're using your personal credit, and let's say you default on one of your credit cards and you had 5 or 6, they would universally default all of your credit cards because you were defaulted on one of them, and they max out the APR. Now you're paying 29% on all 5 of your credit cards. That used to happen back in the day. What you're talking about used to happen back in the day. It doesn't happen as much as it does now.
It happened to me.
Yeah, there's been some.
I'm not that old. I'm like in my early 40s. And I was like, I remember that and just being devastated, because at that point, that's affecting your business. And so you really got to get off of the personal credit track, because it's going to limit what you can do in your business. If you're relying on your own personal credit cards to grow your business, it's not going to be the track that you want to be on. And so business credit and business funding and setting it up properly, like you said, getting a business address, even if you're just getting started with the virtual addresses and those things that you teach, it's business changing. So it's life changing.
Right. And then knowing what creditors are going to report. I mean, everybody knows about the vendor credit, right? The Uline, the Grainger, but there's more, right?
Yeah,
knowing when to apply for things.
Yeah.
When does it make sense to apply for things? Do I have a robust enough business credit profile to get that high limit credit card yet? And trying to keep everything in your EIN. Now, there's some situations where you're going to personally guarantee things.
That's right.
So many entrepreneurs are like, how do I get a $500,000 line of credit? I'm like, well, you are going to have to personally guarantee that.
Right.
If you don't have any cash flow, it's not possible, right? So we have to be creative and find other ways to fund our business.
Yeah.
So once you get your business credit built out appropriately, there's so many different options for alternative financing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can use your credit cards, you can buy your cars, but then there's all kinds of different loans that you can get that aren't advertised, but they're there. They're there for businesses only. A good example
too that I don't think people know, how many unadvertised, business loans and business funds are available that you're just not going to know about until you kind of start entering that world.
That's right. And if you Google business loan, they're going to probably connect you with a major financial institution. You're going to get denied.
Right.
You are, I promise.
That's right.
They want you to have $10 million in sales. They want you to be open for 10 years. They want these crazy things. So, or you're going to find maybe the fintech company that does a personal loan, but they're only going to offer one form of business loan, right? Instead of all of the different types that are available to you, you're going to get denied and you're going to think, well, I can't get a loan. And that's just not the truth either. Bridging the gap in funding while we're doing business. And I kind of wanted to bring this up because there's a, real good example. And many companies do this. And the way that big companies operate, we have the same ability. One that comes to mind is going to be Walmart. And this is a well-known kind of machine that runs, right? They have all net 30, net 45 with all of their vendors.
People do not know this, Justin. Preach, teach, because people do not know this. That's just what you think. No one knows this. Tell them the secrets.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Walmart has net 30, net 45, and probably even some net 60s, right? So with all of their vendors. So when I go into Walmart, and I go and I grab that bottle of ketchup and I go and I ring it out in the self-checkout line, because they don't apparently like to check out your stuff anymore at Walmart. And immediately, once I scan that, they have just-in-time inventory. It's on a truck back to that same store, right? What ends up happening is they're able to move their inventory probably 3, 4, 5 times in a 30 or 45 day cycle, but they're only paying once, right? So their hundreds of millions of dollars of inventory is carried on the backs of their vendors. Right. So they take all of that cash and they build more stores. They expand their business. Yes. We have the same ability on the small business side. If you build out your business credit properly, we have the ability to be creative in the way that we manage our funds. Not everybody has $1 million sitting to the side, and also we have the ability to get ahead of the curve. Okay. Because I can tell you what I'm seeing right now in the economy. And I know that you see it also, Noelle. Yeah. It's getting bad and it's going to get a lot worse. Right. Yeah. And guess what happens? Small businesses are the first ones that get hit the hardest, right? They get hit the hardest. And the problem is that we've had so many years of just craziness in terms of expansion. And the last couple of years, stimulus money and government spending, and it's just been crazy. The economy's blowing up. I mean, you couldn't even, last year, I could throw a dart at any stock, go to sleep, come back 3 months later and make money, right? It's not like that anymore. So what ends up happening is when it's good, it's really good for small businesses. They fail to build out their business credit, secure the funding that they need. And then when the economy crashes, what ends up happening is they're all scrambling, trying to figure out how they're going to make ends meet. And unfortunately, sometimes that's too late. Yeah. This is something that we need to build from the get. And we
right
get as
now.
much funding as we can and have it all sitting on the sides. That way, when something happens, we're like, I got it.
Ready. Yeah, I love it. I love it. So tell people, because this is a great information. We'd be here all day just sharing all of the information that you know and what you know about business credit and the help that you provide. I love that you're helping my students. I love that you've helped me. So tell people how they can reach out to you and your consulting.
Because I know Noelle, you might have heard me say this before, you can click in the link in the description. She's going to put a link down there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can go to justinmerchconsulting.com. That's justinmerchconsulting.com. Also, we're running a special just for Noelle. And what that looks like is that we've recently started a YouTube channel and we're looking for subscribers. If you search Justin Merch, M-I-R-C-H-E in YouTube, subscribe to my channel, take a screenshot and tell us Noelle sent you, you'll get $250 off of our business credit coaching program.
I love it. I love it. I have been encouraging all of my real entrepreneurs, people I know that are heart-centered entrepreneurs that really bring value, really help, really are integrity, to start these YouTube channels, because it's a wealth of knowledge that you can give away absolutely free. And those that want to work with us have those opportunities as well, because you are an excellent resource. I love you, love you, love you. And I thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Noelle. Thank you so much.